Invisimon is one of the boss monsters that debuted in Special Booster 2.5, and although there was some moderate support for it, including a few lines and a tamer, this Digimon largely doesn't have its own deck, and exists more so in Galaxy-type decks. But what if? Just what if there were a few more ways to play this deck? In today's deck profile video, I explore a lot of different bottom ends, but out of all the variants I playtested, this specific deck profile is my favorite. Starting off with the boss monster himself, Invisimon is a level 6 Digimon that has a face-up security effect, hence the pink security box versus a blue security box, that plays itself back out without paying cost. Meaning if your opponent attacks into this Digimon, it does not play itself out. On play, and when Digivolving, you de-Digivolve 2 on one of your opponent's Digimon, then flip your opponent's top security card face up. Then you delete one of their Digimon with one or fewer Digivolution cards. De-Digivolve is one of the best forms of removal in the game right now, and with so many Digimon being blast Digivolved into, this just gifts you more memory. Your turn, when this Digimon checks face-up security cards, you place this Digimon's top stacked card face-up as the bottom security card. Therefore, when you check the security, any option card that would remove it before it could activate its effect to send it to security. But you get to activate the effect before battle, meaning you'd in a sense purge and be back at level 5. This is crucial for later when combining this with other cards. For another Digimon, Oblivimon is another security Digimon that plays itself back out at the end of your opponent's turn. When Digivolving, it flips your opponent's top face down security card face up. And of course, like Invisimon, it sends its top stacked card to the bottom of the security if it checked a face up security. These two Digimon are mandatory for this deck, though my specific variation of the list is only on 3 Oblivimon instead of 4. And there's a reason for this, but again, more on that later. The last Digimon that can flip security cards is of course the newest hoverespimon. This Digimon can Digivolve from any level 3 Digimon with a cyborg or machine trait for a cost of 2, and when Digivolving, flips the opponent's top face down security card face up. End of attack, once per turn, you draw 1. The only way it survives of course is from the jamming. And as neat as all of this is, this card is a definite 4 of mainly because of its 4-play cost that works well with a certain tamer. Which means for the last card that I'm personally running in the Invisimon line, it's of course Altea. Altea is a memory fixer that at the start of your main phase, by placing one play cost 4 or lower black Digimon card with the cyborg or a machine trait from your hand or trash as any of your cyborg or machine trait Digimon's bottom Digivolution card, you flip your opponent's top security card face up. Keep in mind, while this card can net you a -1 from your hand of resources, the 5 cards in your security become valuable resources as they're chipped away from. Now with the main cards knocked out for this engine and the purpose of flipping your opponent's security established, what are some of the lower engines that I started working with when playtesting this deck? On one hand, you could start off with the basics of using espimon to reduce the Digivolution costs, going into your cyborg or machine trait Digimon. Utilizing such a line means that you can also utilize level 3s, like Hagurumon from BT21 to find your machine cyborg trait Digimon, and black tamers. And of course Hagurumon X for that sweet blocker decoy token, along with the inheritable blocker. The only other option that had some consideration at the time was Solarmon, because it doubled as a level 3 blocker and had inheritable reboot. While I started with this as a base, I will say that it did provide some reduction evolution costs and also some wide searchability. That being said, per the thumbnail, you might be wondering where the Digipolice at. Trust me, they're coming. Other level 4s I utilized in the beginning of my testing were Guardramon for maintaining the body on board and preventing it from being deleted via effects. But there was also a problem with this card being an inherent net -1, and it partially conflicted at times with your tamers. Trailmon was another consideration to find and play out your tamers, but this left your stacks largely vulnerable in the back. But for the first out of archetype ideas to try, SOC airdramon quickly became one of my primary level 4s because of its ability to play Marvin Jackson. There were a few issues though, because first, it was a non-machine cyborg type Digimon, which meant that Altea couldn't place cards under it, or use it. And second, when you Digivolved into Oblivimon, it would be a mandatory 4 cost. So again, there was quite a bit of brainstorming to do here. And when we got to the level 5s outside of Oblivimon, there are a ton of options to try out because of Machinedramon related cards. But again, because of early testing with Commandramon, I also leaned more into the Digipolice D-Brigade cards because they would be searchable. Outside of Oblivimon, maybe you want to utilize Bulbmon. This 7-cost level 5 machine Digimon has a float effect that plays out a play cost 4 or lower Digimon card from its Digivolution cards without paying the cost. It's inheritable as a redirect for attacks. And while this card has its uses, I think if your local meta isn't going too aggressive with the attacks and you're choking them on memory, there are just better options. Which is why I ultimately came to the conclusion of the DIGI-Police engine. For the level 2s, I run strictly the Cappurimon eggs for jamming, but like always, there aren't a lot of great black level 2 eggs to pick from. The jamming becomes more relevant as you reveal more of your opponent's security. But for the 3s, commandramon is of course the ultimate direction I went with this deck because of how flexible they can be. There are elements of swarming the board and going aggro and wide, or you could be filtering exactly the pieces you need, or add and then draw into the ones you want with a lot of their effects. Which is why for this build, I recommend 4 BT4 commandramons and 4 BT14 commandramons as your baseline. My early testing did involve espimon, but ultimately I chose to drop this in favor of decoy commandramons and even the DP buffers as well. Because I based the engine with a commandramon engine, this is where a hicommandramon became a 4 of with espimon, leaving 2 slots. And currently I am floating between airdramons and mechanorimons for my last 2 slots. Airdramon being able to play Marvins, and mechanorimon being usable with Altea's effect. Megadramon also has potential in finding Marvin Jacksons, or frankly any of your top end cards. But the real cream of the crop in my mind came to the DIGI-Police. Cargodramon could potentially play out additional bodies, but also trash cards from the deck in order to fuel Altea's ability. But for me personally, I like messing with board states, and what better way to do that than tankdramon. This lets you simultaneously see the top 3, decide to put it on top or bottom, and then delete potentially a play cost 4 or lower Digimon. Could be worthwhile, especially against aces. Speaking of aces, Cyberdramon Ace is the other level 5 option to use, because it can also glean the top 5, play a black tamer, and then put them back on top or bottom. This is why for the level 6s, besides the Invisimon card, I run Darkdramon Ace because it's Blast Evo Death Xmon for 1 turn. But one other crucial element to this card is that it is searchable with BT14 Commandramon. Other options you could consider running would be Mega Gargomon Ace for that unsuspended blocker. Frankly, I really enjoyed this card, but the searchability of Darkdramon Ace is what makes it worthwhile and superior in my mind. Option-wise, you're running the normal consistency option cards like Defense Training, and of course utilizing the Scrambles for cheaper Digivolution climbs and recycling. But outside of Altea, you've got Marvin Jackson backing you up in the wake of the Tamers. And before you raise your torches and pitchforks at me, there are a lot of hilarious combos you can cover with this deck. For example, let's say you have Altea on the field and you promoted up oblivimon from the back. You can use Altea to place any play cost 4 or lower machine or cyborg trait Digimon as the bottom source, to flip your opponent's top face down security card face up. And now when you Digivolve into Invisimon, you can de-Digivolve, flip a second security card face up, and then hopefully start attacking. Interestingly, if you attack with Invisimon first, you'll be able to send it to the bottom of your security face up. But now if you attack with a second Digimon, this also means that your Oblivimon would also go to the bottom of the security stack face up, which opens you up for the Blast Evo play with your level 4s, and then a Blast Evo play with a level 5. Sure, it's a lot of memory, but when it comes to controlling the board, you do what you gotta do. Now, here's something that I didn't know that I thought was really interesting. When the Oblivimon and Invisimon are played back out, they need sources in order to return to the security. And if you happen to have Marvin Jackson in play, you can link to one or the other first, and attack. Then before the security battle happens, nothing happens because there's no DP for Marvin to compare to. Additionally, this same Marvin can then be mind linked again to the other Digimon to ship it back to the security as well, assuming the security is face up. But what are some other dastardly combos that I found with this deck? Because of BT14 Commandramon and hicommandramon, these are also valid targets for Altea to slot under any of your Digimon, which means you can also bring about protection-like effects from deletion by battle, or card effects, or even bounce. But the sickest play? BT4 Commandramon. You see, even if Invisimon does not have jamming, you can tuck BT4 Commandramon under this Digimon. And if you're attacking into a face-up security, you would check, send Invisimon to the bottom of the security, and then Commandramon does the battle. If Commandramon is deleted, this is what enables you to float into another body. Now, that being said, Invisimon even with this mashup of cards probably isn't competitive by any means. It's too slow, and arguably spending time to reveal security is also conflicting when you're trying to play Tamers or finding your pieces quickly. This is why I felt D-Brigade and DIGI-Police paired well with this deck, because it offers board swarm capabilities on several fronts that keeps your opponent occupied while you get to Invisimon. But overall, what are your thoughts on this deck profile, and what are elements you'll be taking for your own? Do you think Invisimon could perform well, Or is it ultimately lacking something? Let me know, and I'll catch you next week on more videos and some spoilers for Wave 2 sleeves. Get excited, because these pre-orders will be available at a special pricing before they drop officially. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.